Boldly brave Sir Robin rode forth from Camelot. He was not afraid to die, oh brave Sir Robin. Hello tanks and tankettes, you'll never guess whose today's replay is from. Yeah, I apologise for your ears, by the way. I don't tend to sing often, and there's a good reason why. But anyway, this is Runaway Brave Sir Robin in the T20, and this is going to be a pretty good showcase for this tank, or at least I think it is, because I've never actually played it myself, and although I've looked up the stats, there's nothing actually like direct experience. You can look at stats and think, oh, it seems good or bad in such and such a way, but that never gives you the whole picture. And you can end up saying things like I did with the STG video, where on balance I was probably not entirely correct, just based on looking at the stats. So just looking at the stats, the T20 doesn't look that special, although it does have some good things going for it. But I think overall it is quite well regarded as a tier 7 medium. It's got a decent gun, although nothing spectacular for its tier. It's got, I think, the best view range for a tier 7 medium. It gets 390 base. It's got okay mobility. It's got good gun depression. It does, however, seem to have pretty bad DPM. It's something like 1400, 1500 base DPM, so that part definitely is bad. That is a bit lackluster. But on the plus side, that gives you more time in between shots. You're not constantly having to sit and expose yourselves on ridge lines for long periods of time to do the damage, as you would say in the Comet, where it's more little and often. So he's withdrawing at this point. It really wouldn't work to try and push the 1-2 line. There just isn't enough firepower available, and everybody else seems to have the same idea. A decent proportion of his team are tank destroyers. They've already lost one, and it was what, a quarter of the team in total? Not quite a quarter. No, I'm thinking of World of Warships. It would be a quarter of the Warships team. Not quite a third of the team is tank destroyers, and there's also 3 arties beside as well. So the actual proportion of heavies and mediums and lights is quite low, all things considered. So yeah, they don't have a huge number of tanks for the front line necessarily, and that kind of goes for the enemy team as well. They do have one thing that's annoying though that they're facing, and you'll have spotted it earlier. That Udes has managed to boost themselves up to a spot on, what is that, G1, and this is obviously one of those areas that Wargaming missed in their last pass of removing these spots on maps. So that's effectively locked down that flank, because the Udes can sit up there and be more or less immune to anything except artillery, of which they now only have 1 left, and hit whatever comes down that flank pretty hard. And with the armour of the T20, I mean, it's not like he's got the speed to get underneath, he doesn't have the armour to bounce, so yeah, that's probably not going to work out well. So he's gone for the OHO instead, and this is also quite a risky proposition because it's a derp OHO, and he could play peekaboo with this guy, but instead he takes the high risk option. And this is where another tier 7 medium might do better, but where the T20 is still good enough. Although he does come close to getting shot a couple of times. It's a bit of a close run thing, but he is able to keep circle strafing. And this OHO is, of course, absolutely doing the wrong thing here. Instead of trying to back up against a rock, trying to prevent brave Sir Robin from doing this, from circling him, instead he backed further into the open and thus sealed his fate. So that's the most dangerous remaining heavy out of the way. Although having said that, the KV-2 packs a fair old wallop as well. This Churchill 7, I mean, has done some damage to him, but he does not have the armour to stand up to any kind of serious punishment. So they've repelled the assault on their base, and all that's left of the enemy team is, well, it's the KV-2, the Udes, Achilles, and the artillery. And these remaining tanks do seem to be playing all rather more defensively. Of their own side, well, Sir Robin's the only one left that has any kills. In fact, the kills have been fairly, like, he's got 4, there's a pilot 1 with 3, and then the 112 had 1, so the kills have concentrated in just a few hands in this one. So we've skipped on a little bit here, and they're cautiously pushing the cap. I mean, Sir Robin has come out in front, but as has just happened to that KV-85, yeah, the Udes can defend their cap from here, from where they are rather, so Sir Robin has to be careful, the rest of them have to be very careful as well. That was a pretty nice shot into that KV-2 though, that's left them a 1 shot, so they can knock that KV-2 out. Maybe there's a chance they could cap this, depending on where the Achilles and the enemy Bert have gone, because I'm not sure, like the Udes might be able to spot for themselves from that particular location, but they're sure as hell going to have a much easier time of it if they've got some of their own teammates left alive to spot for them. So knocking out their eyes is going to help quite a lot. So there goes the KV-2. The Bert took him out for the last 4 health, but bad news. The Achilles has popped up near their own cap, and the T-34-85 I think must have been pretty low health. So, fearful of getting capped out, Sir Robin heads back, but bumps into the Achilles, who wasn't trying to cap at all. They were actually trying to fire from behind, basically, which is not necessarily a bad plan. They couldn't have counted on Sir Robin coming back like that. Of course, Sir Robin's 240 Alpha meant that plus the ram, you know, that was only a 2-shot kill, so that was alright. But it has put him a little out of place in terms of maybe helping his teammates on the cap, but it has at least also secured their own backline. Of the 2 capping tank destroyers, we just lost one. The Su-152 died, possibly spotted by the Bert. The Su-100 has managed to hang on and stay alive, but I think they maybe did that just by being sensible and falling back. Sir Robin, meanwhile, well, that Bert hit told him exactly where the enemy FV-304 was firing from, and as a bonus he spotted the M12 as well, although he didn't manage to get the kill. I mean, with HE, actually that was a high roll, but it wasn't enough for the kill, unfortunately. So there's our friend Udes spotting the cap, or turning towards the cap at the moment, so Robin is safe from being spotted for now. Somebody also picks up the FV, probably the Su-100, who's managed to get themselves below the raised railway tracks, and then Sir Robin pulls off that shot. That was a very good bit of guesswork indeed. That was an excellent guesstimate as to the reverse speed of that FV-304, so that's very useful. That Bert gun being knocked out is quite handy, and of course that also gives him his top gun. So there's the M12 from earlier, probably loaded. Sir Robin has to hope that, there we go, that he's able to get the shot off first, and he does, and that's where that good 10 degrees of gun depression comes in useful, and that just leaves the Udes at this point. Now unfortunately it isn't Sir Robin that gets the kill, it's the Su-100, so no Radley Walters, but still, that was a pretty good match. An ace tanker, that was a Leverschlei host medal and the Pascucci's, top gun, high caliber, nearly 4,000 damage done, and he hit nearly every shot as well. It doesn't have a particularly snappy set of gun stats, this. It's not a particularly fast aim time, although 2.3 isn't bad. So obviously he's, you know, used to that and was playing accordingly, and that's a good result. 1700 base XP is a really good result. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty good match, and also it gave me an excuse to make a little Monty Python reference at the beginning, for which again I can only apologise if your ears bled at the sound of me singing, but I promise not to do it often. So that was the T20 on the Asia server, and a pretty good match it was indeed, and hopefully you thought so as well, and if you did, you can leave any comments about it below, you can hit the like button, you can sub to my channel if you haven't already, and as always, stay tuned for more.